everyone?
Good, how are you?
You ready to market like a rock star?
Ready?
Absolutely.
Yes? Oh, I did not. I hear no enthusiasm. Are we going to market like a rock star?
Of course.
Yes. I'm going to introduce Tai Anderson to you from our very own Supreme Luxury. I was talking to the director of marketing. I'm sure is that right? Okay, director of marketing, and he has, just from the couple months that I've known him, has great tips on how to market like a rock star. So I'm going to turn it over to him.
Awesome. All right, I have a request. It's a little, you'll find out later, it's a little early to make requests. I haven't earned it yet, but I hope you just extend it goodwill. I wanted to see if I could get a couple people to sit here. I know it's weird because you're like going out to your colleagues.
Go Elizabeth! Yeah!
So part of what we're doing is obviously Supreme has a great relationship with
Just remember this.
KW. I will. Great relationship with you guys, but we have this talk. It's something I've actually given a lot. I do a lot of public speaking for a lot of other groups, and Pat, who you might know if you watch our Personal Professional Best, loves dressing up in costumes, and but he kind of has sort of commissioned me to go out to all the offices and do it. So today I have this talk. I want to give it to you guys. I really sincerely hope that you guys get some good value from it. And definitely I want to get better after this is done. We're going to make some like trailers, and then I get to go on tour and go to our 35 different accounts and go give this talk. So with that being said, I appreciate you guys being here. We'll dive in. So this is Market Like a Rock Star. And so before we start, I feel like I should establish some credibility why I would pick such an audacious title for this class.
Oh, well, that's actually, yeah, I got it now.
So I actually, prior to working at Supreme, I was a founding member of a band called Third Day. And so in some circles, we were considered rock stars. So we were in the Christian rock world, but won 4 Grammy Awards, a whole bunch of double awards, inducted to the Georgia Music Hall of Fame, sold 8 million albums, so we got to be homeowners, American Music Award, bunch of stuff. And then since then I went on to, I served as the president for the Recording Academy here in Atlanta, and you might know us for our show we put on every year called the Grammys, which we're pretty proud of. Better than that, more important than all the cool business stuff and accomplishments is we got to do some great things with our platform. Field schools around the world, over, I don't know if we have any math majors here, but over 40,000 children sponsored through World Vision. That was at $35 a month, times 40,000, times average life of 3 years. You do the math, but I'm not great at math, that's why I'm a marketer. So it's but like about $34 million, and whole communities transformed all over the world. And we actually wrote songs that people like, which is kind of good if you're going to be in a band. And so it really helped a lot of people. I was reminded this weekend of just so many stories of people we were able to encourage through a difficult season in their life. And there's nothing better than that. So we're going to dive in. It's time for, this can be, especially in this small crowd, you guys, it's got to be intimate and fun. You guys are going to help me make this great. So just throw out some words. What do you think of when you think of as marketing? Like, what is marketing? It doesn't have to be a textbook definition. Just what comes to mind? We all have an idea of advertising.
What you do. Or...
Always one of the first things said advertising. I think if we're honest, that's probably 99% of what we think about. When we think of marketing, we think of advertising, right? So I looked up to sound academic. Here it is from the American Marketing Association approved definition is the activity, set of institutions and processes for creating, communicating, delivering, and exchanging offerings that have value for customers, clients, partners, and society at large. So, those are a lot of words. I think we can, I'm always a fan of simplifying things, and coming from my background in music, how about this? Making fans. That's what marketing is. You think about it, and we're going to get to this a little bit differently. I want everyone to remember, like, I don't know if any of you guys were that guy. Does anyone have just like a favorite? Everyone does, is who's willing to admit it. A favorite band, a favorite artist. Everyone's got a favorite. Who's willing to throw one out, one of your favorites?
John Mayer.
John Mayer? All right.
Besties for the rest.
I have some children that I have as a result of John Mayer. good romantic stuff. Love John Mayer. Anyone else? Throw out some artists.
Brandy Carlisle.
Brandy Carlisle.
Ooh, geez.
Great.
Me too.
Now, was anyone
Lauren
normally
Daigle.
Lauren Daigle? Great. It's my daughter's favorite. Anyone have, like, when they were in high school, I might be a little bit older than you guys, but at least if you weren't that person, you know the person. Like, when they went to a show, the next day, the whole world knew it, right? Because they're wearing that band t-shirt, they're rocking it. And now I want you to think about this. Let's step away from music for a second. Think about Atlanta United. I love Atlanta United. I got the wardrobe to prove it, right? Evidently, everyone loves Yeti coolers. Because I like to say Yeti sells the world's most expensive sticker that comes with a free cooler.
Yeah.
Because it's more about they want you to know that they love that. So being a fan, ultimately when you think about that, when you're a fan of something, you're putting your identity, part of your identity is I am a fan of this. I'm willing to put that Patagonia sticker on the back of my car. I want the world to know. And it communicates a little bit more than just I like this brand. It communicates something about your values too. So ultimately the job is making fans. And so today's mission, I like to tell you what we're going to try to accomplish here. We got a handout coming in. So, market like a rock star. To me, we're going to divide it into two parts today. And number one, we're going to look at building your brand. And the second thing we're going to look at is creating a communication framework. I feel like those are the two parts of marketing. And part of why this class is that we're creating it and tailoring it is we have a video studio at Supreme, and I did another class here talking about creating a video script. And what I've noticed with a lot of real estate agents, and I get to pick on you a little bit, is a lot of people come in, they go, I want to make a video as part of my communication strategy. I want it for Facebook, I want to put out there, I want to make a video. And without fail, I say, great, well, send me a script of what you want to say. I don't need a script. I got it. I'm great on camera. Famous last words. They get into the studio, and I go, well, great, so what do you want to say? I don't know. Don't you have a script? Can't you just tell me what to say? And I'm like, well, do you want to say something like, man, I'm Tai Anderson, I work at Supreme Lending, and I just have a passion for helping my neighbors realize the American dream of homeownership. They go, yes, that's exactly what I wanted to say. Thank you. And I'm like, I don't believe you. If you haven't come up with it yourself, it's not really real. So a lot of people haven't thought about this brand side, and they just jump right to the marketing side. And we hear words like personal brand, and we think it just means what color pocket square we wear, right? As opposed to really thinking about it. So today, in musical terms, I feel like there's two parts of it. There's the part we had where we created our music in the studio, and then there was where we took it on the road. So if you guys want to follow along, I'm trying this as well for a little worksheet. I thought I have kind of like fill in the blank on the note. So for the top, all marketing is really just making fans. And marketing involves both creating your brand and establishing a communication framework. Now, look at these logos. They're stretched to 4:3 here. It makes the marketers cringe. But all of these logos, you guys, anyone not totally sure what every one of those companies are? Just so it's pretty obvious, right? These are marks. And when I say brand, just like when we said marketing, people say advertising. If I ask you what a brand is, usually a room, 90% of what they'll say is around logo. And the logo is just the culmination of a whole lot of other brand work. Like if I go, well, what is KW? And you said, well, it's a little red K and a W, the red's lowercase, they changed it to, that's not what KW is all about, right? That's just the mark. But the mark does communicate something. Like every one of these, I love Nike's my favorite advertiser historically. Like how many of their ads are just a picture of athletes doing athletic things with just a swoosh, just do it. They say so much in just so little, and there's so much that all these brands communicate. It's more about, hey, Starbucks here is the third place. You can go have your meetings. There's a whole marketing studies of Coca-Cola people versus Pepsi people, and people create, again, their whole identities with these brand associations. But if I ask what's a brand, there's all kinds of definitions out there. This is my favorite definition of brand. A brand is a promise, and a good brand is a promise kept. And that's from a former CEO of Coca-Cola who knows something a little bit about brand, probably the most famous brand in the world. But that's saying a lot, isn't it? A brand is a promise. When you think about that, like if you got your iPhone there and that Apple, there's a promise, right? It's going to work. It's going to be simple. It's going to blend industrial design and the latest technology. And it's like, just like with the Yeti, she's got beautiful skin on her laptop in the back, on her Apple. She might very well even have that Apple sticker she put on the back of her car. Did you do it? No. I see people that do it like mother and daughter and all their kids with Apple stickers. But it's not uncommon, right? Because people, they'll let you know their identity based on the brands they like. But it's also, I love that, where a good brand is a promise kept. So for example, here's an ambassador of Supreme. We have a brand promise that we'll close on time, fund on time, every time. We think we're a good brand because we keep our promise. The second we don't, how many transactions will it take for you guys to be at the closing table, the money doesn't show up before you start looking for a new lender?
One.
Less than one. Like if you're even sweating it, you're going somewhere else, right?
Yeah.
So we take that seriously. That we want to keep our promise ultimately. But just like the mark, your promise, marketing and creating a brand isn't about just like creating a guarantee. That's really the culmination of all your brand work. And my favorite little exercise to get there on the brand side is from a TED Talk from Simon Sinek. Has anyone seen it? Start with the why. So you probably heard that expression. Are you hearing a lot of people say start with the why? You probably hear it in meetings. It's just like the way Outliers was 10 years ago, or the tipping point. You hear people are saying all these things, and if I ask a room like who's watched the TED Talk or read the books, like the hands all go down, but it's part of the colloquial sort of business paradigm right now. But what he talked about, it's a 17-minute TED Talk. Highly recommend it. If you're serious about your brand, if you're serious about yourself, just Google Simon Sinek, start with the why. It's low production. He's standing in front of an easel in Canada. But what he hits on is that everyone knows their what they do. I'm a real estate agent. Very few people can dig in deeper and get to their how. How do I do it? What makes me unique? What are my core values that separate me from my competition? And even fewer people than that can get to their why. That they can articulate their mission of what they do. Now here at Keller Williams, you guys, there's a mission for the company, right? What is it, God, family, business?
Yeah.
But I always say, like, again, at Supreme we have a mission, but I have a personal mission statement. And that, like, I use my personal mission statement to say if something's a good idea. Mine is like, I want to inspire other people to be their best. So with that as a personal mission statement, I can go, well, how do I do that? Well, I want to use the tools that God gave me. I want to use my creativity. I want to use my marketing skills. All these different, can be video one day or pictures or however I do it to ultimately affect my outcome. What you see is like, and he uses this great example, like, remember the company Gateway? Remember that company? They
Yeah.
computers and they computer monitors. I think they're gone now. But a few years ago, they decided they wanted to make flat panel televisions. Were they equipped to make flat panel televisions? Yes, they were. It was the exact same technology as the monitors they were making. Totally equipped to do it. And they came out with a television, and they had a commercial that told you the specs on that television. And no one cared, right? As opposed to Apple, that starts with their mission. We think differently. How do we do it? We're great stewards of the environment. We blend the latest industrial design with things that are intuitive. And then what? Whatever they want. If Apple came out with a car next year, half the people would trade in their Teslas and buy it. It's like, it's whatever it is, because, and he gets into the psychology of the lizard brain. When you start with your communicating your mission, what you build is trust with people, and they trust you and they know you care. And so that's a big part when I get to helping people just articulate their brand. If I'm helping someone make a video, I want to know why you became a real estate agent. And like, some people, they don't want to hear that, because if they're honest, they'll say, well, I was hoping to make some cash on the side, or I thought it would be easy. Those people don't last long, right? But when someone says, if I say, why did you become a real estate agent? And they say, man, you know, I love houses. I saw myself, I was obsessed. I was going to Zillow all the time anyway. And when my friends are looking for something, I just have a passion for helping them. And I want to see their personal wealth transformed. I want people to live in great community. They start articulating that, and that's someone that I want to connect with and do it when they're others focused and start with the mission. So your why, your mission, your vision, your how, your values, your inspiration, and finally you get to your what, which is your offerings, your promise. So I brought in there why, how, what, and then as you guys take this home, and you guys can pass these along, little worksheets. On the bottom, I would encourage you guys to just go through those. And again, that's something where, and just like here at Supreme, we have these written on the wall. So like every day I walk in and it says serve others before self. And I see we have these photos of like people getting habitat homes, and I go like, okay, don't be a jerk today. Right? And like it actually affects me because I go like, okay, it's like it's and I'd encourage you to do that for yourself, even for your own kind of your personal brands, your sub brands. Write down that mission, especially if you have a team. And then you have to have a vision. Like again with Supreme, the founder of the company, we were meeting with him, and he said like, our vision is we want to be the biggest mortgage bank in America. And we said that's a horrible vision. First of all, it's not achievable. Like you're never going to be the biggest, but what we can be is the best. So why not have a vision that you can actually realize? So like, again, if your vision, I would say, is like, I want to be the most successful real estate agent in the world, like there was something like, okay, say that for your vision board, but like have your vision of something that you can see realized in 5 years. In 5 years' time, no one here is going, it would not be possible for you guys to be the biggest real estate agent in the world. But you can have a vision that's very specific and personal of, hey, I want to be doing $25 million of revenue. Whatever that is, you guys can set a realistic goal, but even better when it helps to shape your values. Finally, it shapes our how. We want to deliver the industry's best customer experience. So again, like if we're walking by and somebody's on the phone and they're not delivering the industry's best customer experience, we're held accountable to that. And finally, it culminates in a promise, which is we'll close on time, fund on time every time. So again, when you think about that, how much would that help you just in your elevator speech? All these things, if you just did answer these few little questions, be able to write these out for yourself, what your mission is, what your values that are going to separate you, and what ultimately your promise is to your customer. If you guys can articulate that, what you'll find, and again, that TED Talk kind of breaks it down with the Simon Sinek, when you articulate that to somebody at a Mexican restaurant, at a coffee shop, at your kid's PTA, you will be completely separate from everyone else who's out there just trying to market to them and sell to them. So again, you guys have the worksheet. I would spend some time on that. We're going to go to part 2 here, which is that communication framework part. So all that was just something I felt like we had to cover before you get again before you start creating a marketing framework. You just have to do that little work as a brand. And I know for you guys, there's so much of that. The work is done for Keller Williams, but ultimately, like. You guys don't get business from people calling just Keller Williams. You got to build your personal brand, right? Or is anyone making rich just because Keller's getting rich? Like, no, you got to do it. So, here's a great image. Anyone getting a headache? So here's the marketing funnel. I put on the board. You can see up there. Like, I love this image because to me, even as a marketer, it's like. It's exhausting. Like every day there's 600 new marketing technologies come out, and like I'm supposed to, if someone says, hey, is this a good thing? I'm supposed to be able to say, oh yeah, I think it's great. I totally know how it works. It's like, it's confusing, but between there's stuff up there like what are your discounts and your sales and how are you doing your email marketing, and then here's your website analytics, and here's your social and all this kind of stuff. So again, we're here because we think simple is brilliant, right? We want nice, real human connections. So, anyone know that? All right, here we go. As we go, we're going to have fun the rest of it. I want people to be able to name the artist. So, you definitely get the first one. We're jumping ahead 1 second because this will expire for 30 seconds. So, I had itchy trigger. What I wanted to say on that is, when you think about a marketing funnel, and if you guys Google marketing funnel, what you'll see is 300 different combinations of basically this, which is you guys go out there and you create impressions, and all those impressions fill the top of your funnel, and then magically some measure of them will turn into revenue. If anyone's ever Googled marketing funnel, that's what you'll find, and they'll have different words for it. There's different principles of ADA. You got through it's by targets and prospects and the potential all the way to customers. So that's what you'll see, and I hope I'm not offending anyone if someone's taught you that same very thing. But like that's what's out there. That's what I learned in school and in marketing tests. Here's the marketing funnel, and some have 7 steps and some have 4 steps. but whatever it is, a whole lot of people go in and some amount of money goes out. And you always wonder, like, where's the holes in the marketing funnel? Because why does so little come out with everything we're putting in? But ultimately, and then what marketing is, and your definition of advertising, is how much, what can I put out here that will as quickly as possible lead to revenue? And what it is and this is what is true, is there's things that work. Like, there's no doubt, there's marketing things that work, where if you create enough impressions, some money will come out. But it's kind of like a sugar rush. So it's like, sugar rush is great. Like if you eat a Reese's Pieces, you'll get like a burst of energy. I'm a coffee drinker, I get that burst of energy, but like it goes away really quick too, and then there's the crash. What happens is when your marketing funnel is built like this, of like just creating impressions and it'll lead to money, as soon as you stop making new impressions, you stop making money. So like, no offense to Mark Spain, but if he takes down his radio ads and his billboards, he's done, right? Because like it's solely like he's out there built on, I'll spend millions on impressions, and then a fraction of these are gonna lead to customers. So today we want to create a simpler way, and we're gonna do in this market like a Rockstar framework. So it's a way to think about the different steps your customer is on their journey, and also the different way that you want to talk to them along the way. I like to think about marketing. Some of my favorite, and we can have some fun here, but some of my favorite, like even marketing experiences, are like what I call cheers moments. So it's like if I have a business lunch near our office in Alpharetta, I usually go to Zoe's Kitchen because it's like healthy, and I usually try not to blow my diet till after dinner. So it's like good, healthy, it's close. But what I love is like every time I walk in, like because I'm friends with the manager now, because I've eaten there enough, they go, "Hey Ty, would you like the usual?" And whoever I'm with is like, "Man, that's kind of like a big deal." It's like, but I love it. I call it a cheers moment. Like, remember that? Like, Norm, when he walks in. And those kind of things, like, there's a reason, like, I choose Zoe's 9 times out of 10. It's like because of those moments. And to me, that's marketing. But step one, and I played the Beatles for a reason, I call it reach. So the Beatles, they're a good example of reach, because if I played that song in any continent in the world, people would shout out, "Let it be!" Right? It's such a good, right? It's awesome. They sold 1.6 billion singles, 177 million albums. And this word, why I chose that word is I know everyone's really big on Facebook advertisement, and you'll see, like, if you do any Facebook ads or anything, you'll see your impressions and your reach. And the impressions like feel really sexy, and you feel good about yourself, until you realize like they don't matter nearly as much as the reach. Like, so, and literally on Facebook, like your impressions is like, let's say if I put out a video or even a still or an advertisement, impressions are like how many people it was possible for them to see, or they might have seen, and reach is how many people actually spent some amount of time and engaged with it. Okay. So ultimately, and that's how they do it with Facebook, but it's a great distinction, because like I could create a Tai Anderson is a great marketer billboard, and I guess my impressions would be how many people drove by it. But if they're already texting on their phone, like, I'm gonna have to pay for those impressions at some point. But it's saying about like the bench advertisement. Well, what if someone's sitting on it and they can't see my face? Do I still have to pay? Do I get a discount? I mean, so there's a difference between impressions and reach. Ultimately, you want your marketing to have reach. You want to reach people. And for discussions today is creating a framework. We all know like there's great ways to reach people, but I'm like, however you reach them, whether it's online, whether it's at the Mexican restaurant, if it's at your PTA event, everywhere you reach people, that's going to start your marketing process. So there's only 3 kinds of like marketing communication. I just added this morning because I wanted to make this distinction. And you kind of work with what you have. But when you're having marketing communication, there's earned media. So that's like, I saved Timmy from a well, and 11 Alive News wants to interview me, right? I've earned that media, right? You've done such a great job. You're getting that sort of coverage. There's paid media where you take out advertising, and then there's creative media. There's the content that you create yourself. So most of us, and with our budgets, are going to spend 95% of our time on creative, on our controlled content that we can make ourselves. And in Facebook, you would call it, you have essentially organic, which is what created. You have paid, you can take out your ads. And then I like to call viral earned, is like when something like beyond you create that great organic content, and then it connects. And so it's always a great idea when you're thinking about your content, like, does this even have a chance of going viral? And sometimes the best thing you can do is is have a little fun if you want that to be the case. Like, I have a great example. One of our loan officers, we did a news you can use. We're doing market updates, and it looks like, I put this video together, it looks like CNN and All Pro. And one of our loan officers said, like, hey, I want to do that. And I want to do that just for the realtors I know. I said, great. So I shot her being like the anchor woman, except she brought in her dog and was holding her dog and did the news and was asking the dog questions and did this little news report. And I'm thinking, like, what am I doing with my life? I used to be a rock star, and now it went like, over the weekend had like 3,500 views, and like all these people engaging with it because it was human. It had like the potential for being viral. So, however you reach people. Oh wait, I can't skip. That was a hint. What are we coming? Let's see. Now we're in the groove. What do we got? Chance the Rapper. Okay, good. That was good. So I have Chance the Rapper here. I have him to enhance my street cred. But it's a great example with Chance the Rapper because he actually gave away his first 2 mixtapes for free. So like a very conventional marketing strategy, right? But he did it to obtain information. Like he wasn't just, he is kind of like a saint of Chicago, but he did it because in exchange for all the people listening for free, he got information. So if you don't obtain information, you can't continue the conversation. So with all of your marketing, again, the difference between just advertising or impressions is just throwing it out there. How do you take it to the next step where you get that piece of information, that phone number, that email, whatever, so that you can take it to the next level? So again, I think a lot of times people, and real estate agents can be great networkers, and they'll define a great successful event. Like, I went to this great networking event and I gave away 30 business cards. It's like, cool, how many did you get? Like how did you get the ability to continue the relationship, because they ain't calling. So ultimately, collecting information to continue the conversation. And again, on this worksheet, like when you get to the right side of there, feel free, like if you have an idea that comes to mind of like a way you can be doing that better. I'm a big fan of, just because I am so heavy on content, is like you guys can get like those market reports you can subscribe to, different, just like a great new home buyers kit PDF. You can put together just like a little presentation and make that as like with your content when they come to your site, a little landing page like, hey, for your email, I'll send you this PDF. You can have this exchange, this way to obtain information. And once you do, 3 chords and she had it.
Oh, yeah.
Totally. So that was actually from his solo project, Dave Matthews. So, not Dave Matthews Band.
Excuse me.
But I did put Dave.
I would say it says Dave Matthews Band right
You're
there.
good. So, so I like this because this was a personal example for me. Like, and again, it went to that brand thing. Like, I never heard Dave Matthews music. I was at Georgia Tech, and I just started seeing like this little dancing girl logos on the back of all the cool kids' cars, right? Mm-hmm. The fire date, what'd you say?
Yeah, I had one in my car in high school.
And what were you saying? You were saying, like, associate me with this brand. This is part of who I am. Here's my See, it's more than just a mark. So, and Dave Matthews actually drew that himself. But then, so like a friend told me about it. I subscribed to his mailing list. And then, so through the years we had the same management. We got to do some cool stuff together. But I get an email every week from Dave Matthews. I get all through those years. I know about his live tracks, volume 785. All their live stuff, their merchandise, all these things. So because they obtain that information, they can cultivate a relationship. So all of you guys know about CRM. You know about all those things. I want to make a little statement here about CRM. So first of all, when it comes to cultivating, any guests here, I put this on your sheet. A prospect requires how many impressions before they even notice your brand? 8. So it's a minimum of 7. So right in there, some say 12, whatever. You can look up all kinds of things. That goes to that impressions thing. Again, if you're spending all your money just to get impressions, it takes a lot, right? And there isn't like a magic bullet, and people are disappointed when they invest thinking that's the case. So the next thing I want to make is just, when I say be blank, I've already said it a few times. Consistent is good, But this is more like, I'll keep this in an aside. Be human. Be human. Genuine is a good word. So, and I think this is a good statement when it comes to cultivating. Be human. Marketing automation is often training your customers to blank.
Remember you, or say you.
Read.
Your name.
Good
Trust
idea.
you.
Trust you. Marketing automation.
Think of
Think of you. Okay, I have a different take on it. And again, married with the first statement of be human. The most powerful part of your marketing automation or your CRM is your calendar notifications. And so I'll give you an example that's personal with my real estate agent. So I had my birthday in June, and my Allstate insurance, I got a birthday email, and my Jiffy Lube sent me a birthday email. Taco Max sent me a birthday email. My real estate agent sent me a personalized text. It wasn't created for her. She did. Now, how did she know that it was my birthday? Her CRM reminded her to do the right human thing. And so when it comes to cultivating, this is where, again, I'm not selling anything today, so I'm not selling you the latest technology, but like all those things, if it's set it and forget it, they're going to set and forget you. Like the most powerful thing you can do with your CRM is to remind yourself to do the next best human thing to cultivate that relationship, right? And so it's that reminder of like, hey, I need to call this person, I need to text this person. We have a lot of times our loan officers will, hey, can you make us a really, great, beautiful marketing email that we can send out to all the realtors? I'm like, why? Because here's my fill in the blank. Marketing automation is often training your customers to ignore you. Think about it with the brands that you're on their mailing list. Like, do you guys even read them? Does it go right to spam? And then, like, why would it work for us if it's not working for them, right? And then, like, let's say you actually have something important to say. Like, you can't communicate it because you've been, like, relegated to the spam box. So it's a different way of thinking about it. But the idea is we reach people, we obtain that information, we're cultivating the right way. Eventually, the next step, I think 2 seconds or less. Let's see. We got this. Let's see. Sorry. The right message at the right time. Human message. Here we go. Who do we got?
Record driver.
It's pretty easy.
Yeah.
King.
All right. The best-selling album of all time. How do we ever get it? I think when you actually make a sale or get a listing, it's kicking ass. Anyone agree? All that work we did to get there, right? It's kicking ass. So you make the sale and you should celebrate it. This applies, I think, absolutely to you guys, but all the work to do that goes into it. I worked at a different organization, not the one I'm in now, but it was like, we'd make a sale, which was a really big deal. It was this B2B sale, and it was like everyone acted like they were too cool for school. And I had, even the band, like there's times we won Grammys, and like some guys in the band would be like, yeah, I mean, it's whatever. I'm like, no, this is a really big deal. And they're like, well, I want to be humble, so I'll just put the Grammy in the closet. I'm like, no, put it on the mantle so everyone can see it when they come in and enjoy it. It's like, you have to, all the stress that goes into it, you got to celebrate a sale, right? Yeah. Or you're going to blow out. However, here's the...
Take on the aha.
Nice. Which would be an example, the number one example of a one-hit wonder. Can anyone name another aha song? No.
They're actually a 2-hit wonder, I believe. The other one didn't get it. They had something chart, but it wasn't.
As far as every other song you got in 2 seconds.
It's not a hit.
They can still play at the county fair, but they ain't selling on the stage. So, okay. So you get the idea.
If it ain't top 10, it's not a hit.
So I'll pull you guys back from, we'll arm wrestle after about but it was a great video, wasn't it? Such a cool video. But again, this is where these traditional marketing funnels, like this would be the end of the discussion. Would be like all of this marketing to get you guys new customers, right? And when I think about our business, when I was thinking about this framework, I don't think it cuts it for what we're doing. Because ultimately, when I think about a funnel, if I set up a funnel on the front of this table, and I blew on it, it would fall right over. Or I guess with the sugar rush, as soon as you stop feeding the top, if you get a funnel, you stop feeding the top, it's going to stop coming out the bottom. So if just stopping at the sale is not the end of marketing, but for most of us, and in professional organizations and our organizations, that's how we think of marketing. We think of it as like marketing is just there to drive sales, and that's where it exists. Where again, as we define it today, it's your brand, it's your communication framework, it's really everything to do with your business. So the next step.
Oh, it's current.
Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
Taylor Swift, new song, very good. Okay, so this goes back a few records. But so does anyone remember how she launched her 1989 album? So that's the year she was born. But it was 2 albums back. But so she launched it by inviting fans to her house and baking them cookies. So not what you would expect from like the world's, besides she's arm wrestling Beyonce for the world's biggest artist, but most sold out stadiums by female artists. So. She to me is a great example of serving. There's every day. I'm actually friends with her manager, and it's like so many stories. He always like, "Hey, we were coming back from LA. There was time we were like going to get together for drinks." He's like, "Sorry, dude, I can't do it. We were on our way back from LA, but we were in the middle of the air, and Taylor turned the plane around because she found out one of her fans is dying of cancer in Denver." So she diverted the plane, which probably cost $20,000 to go spend time with it. It's like, I'll cry when I think about that. But like, she's someone that like, in stories all the time where she sees someone wearing her t-shirt, she pulls over to the side of the road and takes selfies with them, whatever. To me, she's a great example of serving and exceeding your customers' expectations. When it comes to serving, I want you guys to write in this, another word for this, for serving, is delight. Delighting your customers. And so for our purposes here today, delighting customers is creating unexpected moments of joy. So you think about that. Think about the example before, like that Allstate birthday email they did not create for me an unexpected moment of joy, right? But you guys all know, and think about like your gifts. Again, this is after the sale. But like think about like, you can, if my realtor sends me at the closing table, here's a $50 gift card for Papa John's tonight. I know you guys are moving. Like, that's cool, and I like it. But like, how much better if she was listening to me over the previous 6 weeks and said, "Hey, I know you're trying to eat paleo, so tonight I'm going to bring over some Zoe's Kitchen Greek salad," and that, you know what I mean? There's like a difference between one is like, you know me, you get me, you care about me, and the other is like, I was told it's kind of expected that I would get you a gift since you just gave me $25,000 over a month, right? Anyway. So I love Taylor, as you can see. She's not that tall. I was bending over with my daughters, but here she is loving on my girls. Here's her baking cookies for her fans. This was after her Georgia Dome show. It was one of those examples. I mean, here's this girl sold out a stadium, 53,000 people, and her manager called me the next day. I was like, "Hey, when'd you get home?" He said, "Well, it took us like an extra hour and a half because that picture you saw, this picture, talk about earned media, had like 350 million views around the world, was picked up all these papers, was her loving on this girl with cancer." You can see in the full image, like the rest of their band is like, she does this all the time. But it, like the Georgia Dome, so normally, you ever heard the expression Elvis has left the building? You know where it would come from is like, they'd play the last song and the band would stay on, so Elvis could literally get in the limo, be out of the way before traffic, and be at the airfield, sometimes in the air, while the band was finishing the last note. The announcer goes, "Elvis has left the building." So Taylor, by spending this extra 20 minutes with this little girl, it took them an extra 90 minutes to get to PDK, to get home that day. So it's like moments like that, you get it. So I'll fight anyone who slags off Taylor. But again, you provide those unexpected moments of delight, moments of joy. If you serve your fans,
Or to run.
all right, you get it. So,
That is a hit.
okay. What I know, are there any big Bruce Springsteen fans? What you know with Bruce is like he's famous for like these 3-hour sets, and like the dude's sweating profusely after the first 5 minutes, right? But it's just very consistent. What he has with his audience is trust. Like, you know, if you buy a Bruce Springsteen ticket, like, you're getting, there's never been, you will not find one person in the world go, I went to a Bruce Springsteen show and he kind of phoned it in. You never hear that. And he has this trust with audience. So again, this is that brand promise. You're delivering on your brand promise, you deliver trust. You build trust. So again, after the sale is made, you guys have already, and for you guys, like, I'm not even talking just in between, like, I normally you guys get both, right? And don't you guys get to majority of the time work both sides of the transaction? Ideally they put their house up for sale, you help them do that, then you help them find their new one. Let's go to reality. They fell in love with the house, they already really want it, they already saw it on Zillow, they call you so they can come see it, and now they're scrambling to sell their house. Is that closer? Majority of the time. So you get to do both, but what I'm talking about is like growing your business so that in 3 years when they're ready to upgrade, like, you'll defy the statistics. I'm gonna write this down for me because this is a statistic I was gonna look up of like the percentage of people that use the same real estate agent the next time around. It's really bad. It's really bad.
Really low.
Yeah.
And again, I would venture to say it's because all their marketing efforts stop at the sale. So if you serve them unexpected, then you build that trust, then you have the opportunity.
Oh,
Get
yes.
referrals. A repeat business.
We'll get there. So I'm still talking about them. So this is KISS, of course. I picked KISS because they essentially created merchandising. It used to be you'd buy a ticket to a show and you would buy maybe like a black t-shirt with the band on it. And then KISS was like, well, what about Lunchbox and plush dolls and action figures? And they essentially, before that, no one else really did it. And it was genius that they wore makeup because their guys are like 85 years old and they can still sell out stadiums. So they certainly established a brand. But when I talk about if you build trust, then you can advance the relationship. And in the business world, we talk about upsell, resell, cross-sell, all your different offerings. Hey, you guys here, even just as a real estate agent, that's about going like, it's the difference between, my real estate, or I had a real estate agent that helped me get the house, and my real estate agent, like I love my real estate agent. We're friends, whatever. Like when it comes time to buy and sell again, she's my real estate agent. So the opportunity to advance relationships. So again, if you look at the math, as opposed to all those single transactions, if you looked at how many times is someone going to buy and sell a home in their lifetime, imagine if you did such a great job that from here on out that you were their real estate agent, that it was every transaction. And again, if your whole system is based on just like all my marketing efforts are try to get new customers, and then I'm relying on CRM to send a birthday email and keep them around, or it's Veterans Day, God bless our troops. Like, that ain't gonna cut it. Your marketing is gonna have to be human things. And ultimately, here we go. This is gonna be a personal one for me. I picked a song that's like, might take a minute. Let's see. Is it playing?
The streets have no name.
Oh gosh.
They're my favorite.
So yeah, it's You Two Where the Streets Have No Name. I love you guys didn't require a lyric for a single song today, did you? Maybe the Chance the Rapper. But what's that?
No, I said that might not even have helped me.
Yeah. Well, you two, and why I say this example for last is obviously what I'm trying to get, the message I'm banging home today is the end of your marketing funnel should be about referrals, and ultimately we don't want a funnel, we want an hourglass, because what you guys want is a base of referrals. Those great companies, those great brands, they can shut off their impression engine and they still have that steady stream of business. That's how you build a sustainable brand. So ultimately you do that by getting referrals. And I picked you two because I was referred you two by my older sister when I was like 9 years old. And I thought my older sister was so cool, and she had this tape of U2 War. It was this kid with the bloody lip, and but since then I've probably spent, I don't even want to say, but certainly over $10,000 on U2 stuff in my life. I mean, I've flown to other cities and seen every tour since the Joshua Tree, and so again, there's science that actually backs this up. I have there 60% of companies with referral process experience faster close rates, 59% higher customer life value, and the stat I want you guys to write down: 71% report higher conversion from contact to customer. So what we know is fans, customers that come by referral, they actually become your customers in a much higher percentage. And those people across all industries, they buy more, they become better customers. So all the music I played today, in the world that's changed since I was out there making music, it's like now there's so much music out there, like the only way I'm going to go certainly buy an album, which I only do that if I want to have it on vinyl, because otherwise I just stream it, right? The only way I'm going to actually give money to an artist, whatever, is if a friend says, dude, you've got to check this out. And again, it gets to the sciences, that old brain, the lizard brain. The power of a referral is like, it cuts through everything. So like at Supreme, you might have noticed, like, you haven't seen any Supreme billboards, you haven't seen any benches people sitting on. Like, our entire strategy is like, we're here with you guys, and we want to serve you guys, give you great content, hopefully build trust over time, deliver on our promise, advance it to get that referral. Like, that's 100%. I get calls as the marketing director. I think they hired me just to field all the calls no one else wanted to take. Like every day, hey, will you do this? Will you do that? And I just have like one filter. Like, how will this serve real estate agents to like advance our relationship with them and have it lead to meaningful referrals. So again, for like a last example, I know we started a few minutes late, and I want to leave some time for questions or just interacting. But I love this example of, this is where I think people get stuck, right? We all want referrals, but like we all know the expression, hope is not a strategy, right? Yeah. So I'll give you an example. So around this area, I used to go over to Atlanta Tech Village a lot. I was working with an agency, calling on a lot of clients there. And so they had Octane coffee there, right? And then on the way in today, I stopped at a Starbucks coffee. So as you can tell, I'm well caffeinated. But when I stopped at Starbucks today, and no one threw anything at me, but I didn't leave a tip. And every time I go to Octane, I leave a tip. Now the answer is behind me, but why do I leave a tip at Octane and I don't at Starbucks?
Because Octane has to earn their business, right?
No. And you know what, when do you give your tip? Have you already had your coffee?
Service.
No. Oh, before.
It's on the receipt and there's a tip jar.
Oh,
So when I go to Starbucks, on their POS system, I swipe my card and there's no line for a tip. They have a tip jar, but I'm not an animal, I don't carry cash, right? So I don't leave a tip at Starbucks, but Octane, I order my coffee. Again, I haven't tasted it. I don't know how long they're going to take to make it. They flip that iPad around and it says tip. They used to say 15, 20, 25. Now they're like 20, 25, 30. They're like going up. But, so why do I tip at Octane and not Starbucks? Because they asked me to. And what does that hit on actually? Like, if we wanted to get really fun into like social science, it's like creating a positive peer pressure environment, right? Why do I tip more at Octane Coffee as a percentage than I do to Uber? Because Uber, they don't ask me for my tip until the next time I look on my phone, and then I'm going like, well, I don't want to seem like a jerk, but I'm never going to see that guy again, and his car kind of smell whatever. So like, I'll give a little tip. I mean, how many times Uber you go 4 stars because it wasn't great, but then you go, then it sees all the words, you're like, I don't even want to deal with it. I'll just give them 5 stars, whatever. But so you get into this again, a theme here of be human. So what I will say is like, there's a right time for this, and I put this reason referrals at the end. And again, we all have these transactions. We could all talk about companies we hate for a long time. But like, have you ever been to a place? I went to go get a storage space, and I went there, and it goes, hey, so please, will you give us a Google review? I was like, well, I don't even know if there's cobwebs in the storage unit yet. There's like a right time to make the ask, but a human ask is what you do. So again, all of this work in creating this like communication strategy and running your business well and building trust, you've sold now 2 houses for them. Guys, it's time to make the ask. It's time to specifically say, hey, will you please refer me to a friend? Because what I would love to do is find less ways to spend money marketing and more time taking care of my clients. And when you've done that, you've earned that right to make the ask. And there's a huge difference of just those who do and those who don't. I mean, little campaign we actually ran here, or I ran last year. So I was like taking inventory, and it was like 2 years ago. I was taking inventory. I'm like, we don't have any Google reviews of Supreme, and I was like, well, we should get some Google reviews. And so it was like, well, how are we going to do it? I'm like, well, why don't we identify who our satisfied customers are and ask them to? And it was like 2 days later, we have enough Google reviews. I mean, it keep going, but it was like, again, when you know you've done a good job, so again, I would say that you can be selective. Like, if a transaction, if the transaction was like really tough and that it was just going to be a transaction and moving on. Like, you don't want that person to go be like a brand terrorist for you, right? So there's some people, and you'll see this a lot in marketing. It's a question that was actually developed by Romney's consultant group, the Bain Institute. You see the question all the time, like, how likely are you to refer to a friend or family member, and it gives a 1 through 10 scale, different ways to interpret it. But you only want to ask for champions. You only want to ask your champions. So those people that you've earned their business, you've served them well, you've built trust, you've advanced relationship, ask them for that referral to introduce you to people you know. And ultimately, I think another way that you guys can use this tool is I have with Rockstar, a nice acronym, is like, think about your customers, and I bet every one of your customers, you can put them in a different stage in this process of where they're. Okay, this person, yeah, I'm cultivating a relationship with them. They haven't quite asked me to list, but I think maybe they will. We're talking about it, whatever. So you think about what's like a human thing you can do to each of your customers along the way. And again, if you take nothing else, and I know some of you guys might be brand new and you're like, well, that's easy to say, I don't have that customer base yet. But again, it's only a customer base if it's growing towards referral. It's not much of a base if it's just that first transaction. So think about what are those things that you can do to energize your base. I worked for a digital marketing agency. We called it Sleeping Beauty campaigns. Like, it's the first thing that we would do with the company is they go in like, we want new business. We said, great, can we have your list of existing customers? And then we go through the data and say, who are the customers that haven't done business with us in over a year? Then how do we energize what we call Sleeping Beauties? But think about it, those people, especially on the commercial side, right? Those are people, you don't have to pay to get that list. You don't have to spend Facebook ads to try to get that contact information. You already have the freedom, the ability to communicate with them. So your best opportunities might already be inside your own network. So there you guys go. That is the Market Like a Rockstar framework. So I know I left you lots of homework. We're right at an hour. Hopefully these were useful for you guys and good. And is there any questions? Yeah.
So as you know, I have a team.
Mm-hmm.
And so in building the team brand, should it be multiple people? What's the effect of just me or me and 2 or 3 other people?
Yeah.
4 other people?
So when you're talking about a brand, like here I was as an ambassador of Supreme. You know this, I talked about Supreme's mission, vision, values, promise. I think absolutely your team, and I know you've done a lot of this work already, but it needs to be at least written in your office, written on the walls. Everyone on your team, there's 2 questions to be on your team. Are they the right person? Do they share the right values and are in the right seat? Are they doing the right things, right? Everyone you hire. So everyone, I like to say they need to be saluting that flag. If they can't salute the flag of your mission, your vision, whatever, this is what we have as our group, then they're not the right person. And so I think once you have that brand and as you guys build your own team, you want ambassadors like I've been today. You want an ambassador that I came here and I said, hey, we serve others before self. Our brand promise. Everyone on your team should be able to answer those questions. You should be able to do it. Do they have individual flavor? Yeah, that shows up in their specific job description of how they bring their unique skills to bear. But all of those vision, mission, inspirations, and that brand promise are non-negotiables that everyone has to be 100% on board. So,
I'm missing the blank is the most important 5-letter word in business.
I am. Yeah.
Trust.
Yeah, I guess
There you go. I didn't fill that in for you. I was hoping you just osmosis.
Yeah.
Trust that
I
we
missed
get it.
a
Trust
brand
that we get it, yeah.
a brand is a blank and a good brand is a
So one answer. A brand is a blank, a good brand is
A brand is a
Promise.
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 A good brand is a promise kept.
Okay.
guys, I haven't asked since I gave my coffee example. So I'm just fleshing this out because we want to make it better. And so one of the things we want to do, so 2 things. So there's a list. I'm going to send you guys, it's not marketing spam, I promise. I'm gonna put it together tonight or tomorrow morning. I just want to ask like 4 or 5 questions so that you guys can help me get better for when I come back or when I go out to all the other offices, because I do want to get this better. I saw a few things along the way. I'm like, well, I need a stat here. That would give you credibility. So I'd love if you guys would do that. And then we have our cameras here. So what I was hoping to do for those that are brave is they will find a cool spot, and just looking for if you guys had a takeaway today or something good or can give a positive review, because we want to get like a good pump up trailer that we could get out there to send ahead so that we come and fill up the rooms as we go across the Southeast. But thank you guys for being a good audience.